Hey everyone, I want to make this video for anyone who's thinking about majoring in accounting, currently majoring in accounting, studying, or also just starting their career in accounting. I'm going to highlight some points here to consider of things I wish I knew, things that are helpful from what I learned, and yeah, any way I could help out and just give feedback on what I've experienced in the first 10 years of my career being an accountant since I finished school. And so I made a little PowerPoint slide. Going to go over some important points I feel that I would like to share that I don't hear anywhere else really. So this is all based on my experience here, but I want to start off here on a popular article that had came out earlier this year from the Wall Street Journal, highlighting how 300,000 accountants have left the profession. So I'm going to first go over why this is happening, and then also how to overcome it, and other tips and obstacles to consider here with the profession based on my observation. All right, so the reason why so many accountants have left the workforce and it hasn't been appealing to many is because of the long hours and the low pay. All right, so this is what I mean. um so accounting firms, right? There's no The laws are not protected by firms because they were made assuming that these professional firms, they pay higher, right? What I found out working, it's actually not the case, right? It's rare. So usually, for most employees working on the firms, and that's the problem, is that the pay is not better at accounting firms, law firms, any type of firms, right? Investment firms. And that's the problem here. And accounting is one of them, right? So there's no overtime pay with accounting. So what they do is they put you on salary and they make you work an X amount of hours. And there's also a lot of unwritten rules where if you're not meeting certain expectations, you're not getting enough work done, they let you go, right? So that's another thing, right? So in accounting firms, there's longer hours, it's not 40 hours. So it also stops you from getting another job. The pay is mediocre, and they get rid of you at any time. So there's no protection, right, at accounting firms. And same with corporations, but it's a little better than accounting firms, right? Um, so there's high turnover at accounting firms. Based on my experience, if they don't like you, they can get rid of you within a few weeks. And that's why you have to wait to get the health insurance and 401k match working there, because they want to see if they like you or not. And if they don't, they just get rid of you. So, um, and the benefits, you usually get pretty subpar health insurance at accounting firms. And so these are just things that when you go into accounting, you don't really consider or when you're choosing these careers. But this is the reason why there's been a problem with people going into accounting and why people have left accounting. So there's alternative careers where you may work for like the government, for example, where it's only 40 hours. You have a union, you have pensions. You don't have any of that in accounting firms, right? So usually accountants, there is government accountants, right? But most accountants work at an accounting firm. So you go into this profession, likely you're going to work at an accounting firm, if not a corporation, and you don't have any of those benefits that you could with the standard work week, 40 hours, union protection, harder to get fired, pensions. So these are some of the differences here when you're deciding a career to consider. Um, and lately, with the Wall Street Journal article, what they did is they highlighted that finance and IT have drawn more interest, and people have left accounting to go into finance and IT, right? Um, but the problem still lies in finance and IT, right? So um, the response with accountants not being happy hasn't been we're going to give accountants more pay. The response has been that they have been outsourcing a lot of jobs. I had made another video explaining how a lot of accounting firms outsource their work to India. That's been the response to the shortage. And that's why it hasn't attracted a lot of people into accounting, because When they could outsource your job overseas, so this is pretty much any office job for the most part, to be honest. If they could outsource it overseas, you're less valuable, and that's what's happening. Corporations, accounting firms, they're all about profit, right? And we have this emergent problem right here with artificial intelligence. It's replacing a lot of workers, including accounting. And from my research, actually, bookkeeping, tax prep, and even auditing are one of the first jobs that supposedly is supposed to be taken out by artificial intelligence. It'll start at the top of corporations, big corporations, and it'll trickle down eventually. For the most part, government jobs will be protected by this, but this is why. These are the current problems in accounting that we face. So you have to consider this and make pivots accordingly. Now, this is my advice to overcome it, right? So the future going forward, all right, is going to be more about data analytics. See, um, all the college curriculums now make you take data analytics. That wasn't there when I was in college. It was unheard of 10 years ago. So it's more about decision making. And that's why the pay for finance has become better than accounting. Now, with an accounting degree, you can get all the finance jobs. But the thing about accounting, thing about data analytics and financial analyst jobs is that there is a lot of competition. So you're going into somewhere where you're going to have more people that have degrees than jobs available. You might hear other articles that accounting is in high demand. It really isn't. You're going to have more people with accounting degrees than accounting jobs needed. So if that wasn't the case, yeah, I'd personally be getting job offers left and right, but that's not the case. So things to consider here: if what you want to do here is it's going to be more advisory roles, advisory decision making, and that's the strategy of how you want to portray yourself in job interviews, and also going forward things you could do to assist with that. um so based on my experience with all my friends that I started my career with, that took different paths, what I found, if you can, try to get hired by a big four out of college, right? And this could actually make or break your decision, or kind of pivot your alternative path from there. If you get hired at Big Four audit, you're going to be able to get exposure. You're going to have good experience on your resume, but get exposure to public companies, right? And now, my friends who started off, who had done this, they none of them like their jobs. All right, you're not gonna. It's not gonna be. It's not a dream job. You're gonna have to work a lot of hours, but you just do it for a few years and move on. Um, they're not having the easiest time getting jobs, so it's not a walk and a cake for them either. Uh, but they're doing decent, above average. And this is where they had started, right? I didn't start. I tried. It was very hard to get into the Big Four, and also specifically audits. So the way audits work with accounting firms is that, like, the Big Four and maybe a few after that, uh, they do all the audits for the most part. So it's hard to get an audit job if it's not a huge accounting firm. The smaller accounting firm is mostly going to be tax prep. And this was a lesson I had learned, because this is how I started. Uh, when I was doing tax preparation jobs, I didn't really know where I wanted to go in this field, and I really was more trying to go into auditing, accounting, finance. What I learned is that, with the tax jobs, it may help you, but the thing is that, uh, tax prep, you do it for years and years. It's not going to help you in auditing or accountant jobs usually, because tax prep is not useful for those jobs. That's not what they're looking for. So you got to really portray yourself. Try in these interviews to highlight more of like an accounting experience, more of an audit experience, or if you could get an audit job, because that's what they want. I've had interviews where I tell them, no, I don't have audit experience, but I've been working in taxes. I got a CPA, I got a master's degree, and all that. And they say, sorry, we're looking for somebody with audit experience just for general accountant jobs. That's it. So, um, so this is something I had learned, that you don't want to, if it's not a job or career path you don't want to go into, don't. Don't think that you go into one part of accounting, you can easily switch to another. It's not that easy. So just keep that in mind when you're taking on these jobs or when you're focused on certain roles. And also with finance jobs, I have had interviews for financial analyst jobs, and what they're looking for is financial modeling experience. So if you don't have financial modeling experience, that's pretty much it. So you want to try to focus on a specific job you're looking for and try to get experience in that area and keep trying. Other jobs to try to go from tax to audit is difficult. It's possible, but it's just difficult. And the thing about specifically with taxes is that what hurts the pay, hurts the demand. Aside from the other things I talked about, is people can be an enrolled agent where you just take three-part test with IRS, fairly easy, and they get paid equal as a CPA, and they didn't need to go to college. So if you're going into that small business tax prep route, you don't even need to go to get your CPA. You don't need to get an accounting degree. So, and it depends. It's very subjective, but a lot of the accounting firms, a lot of the tax prep jobs, they don't care if you have an EA or CPA or just an accounting degree in general. And so, because there's no degree needed, it hurts the ability to be in high demand in this area. So that's something to also consider. And if I were to go back again, I would not have minored. I minored in management information systems. I would have double majored in something. Doesn't have to be MIS, but um, MIS is can give you an alternative career path. With computers, the thing about computers, you're going to face the same problems. Huge competition, gets outsourced. AI's making it more difficult. Uh, but to me, there's no point in double majoring in accounting and finance because you can get all the finance jobs with accounting. You just need to get that experience. And but the MIS, if you're interested in a possible route in computers, if you double the major, if accounting doesn't work out, you can try to go that route. You can apply to both jobs and see what you get with computer jobs, whether it's cybersecurity and software engineering. You could do that with information systems, and you can easily double major because it is in the business department. So you take all the core when you're in college. You can easily double major. And if you need to stay in college another semester just to double major, I'd do it because minors are for the most part completely useless to put on your resume, or also even to get through the pre-qualifying prerequisites for a lot of these jobs. So definitely, I would definitely double major if you can instead of a major minor like I was required to do. And lastly, some things to consider here. Uh, so the thing about accounting, right? Women will be hired 9 times out of 10 than a guy. So if you're a guy, you have to put this into consideration. You're going into to a field where it's 61% now. I think I saw women, and most of the time they will get hired over a guy because they're viewed as better workers in accounting and probably most office jobs. So you have to take that in consideration that maybe if that's something that may become an issue, choose another path or pivot into something else where there's less women competing because they will um, probably get a job over you if it's between a guy and a girl. That's just the way it is. I've seen accounting departments where it's 99% women. I see most of the managers that I experience are women, and so that's just the way things are. Now, um, currently, you the the wages for accounting, it's not just the problem with accounting. It's all across, right? Because of what we did through COVID, we had a high inflation, so most jobs do not pay enough for you to live off of to pay rent. All right, you're gonna have to get good at personal finance. If you can't take a side job, that would be helpful. It's hard to take a side job if you work at an accounting firm. That's one of the problems with accounting firms. It kind of prevents you from taking a side hustle. But there's things you can do. And me personally, I'm good at investing. I've made videos about investing. You can check out. But you're gonna have to get roommates, get married, have your spouse help you. you're gonna have to come up with a way to make enough money to pay rent currently. But I think that's going to change, right? So as inflation cools off, eventually it'll take a few years. Wage growth will uh, be greater than inflation, and I think it'll level out where it'll get better. So currently, if you're not a manager, you're probably not making 100K. So you got to, and it's harder to get a manager job. Don't rely on, oh, I need a manager. I'm going into this because I'm going to become a manager. You may or may not, but it might take a while. Um, look for alternative ways to make money. Every career right now has a problem. Well, most careers right now have a problem with making enough money to live on. So it's not just an accounting thing. So hopefully these are some good tips based on my experience, things to consider so you can make good pivots with your career mobility. I'll try to make any videos that I think are helpful based on my experience. Leave any comments. You got any questions that I could help answer? And take care.